John, maybe you would have something to add and comment on each other's presentations at this point.
Thank you. Yes, just a quick question for Shukri. Shukri, I liked your slide when you pointed out that we need to think about targeting insurance at the micro, meso, and macro. And you gave a nice example of African capacity, risk capacity being at the macro level. UNFAO's perspective, when it comes to targeting index insurance and looking at moving from pilot to scale, where FAO sees the real future, is it micro level, meso, macro? Is it all three, or is there one which particularly stands out?
Shukri, if you can hear me now, you could reactivate your microphone. We haven't heard you yet.
Yes, I can hear you. I think that's a very, very good question. And these are some of the discussions we're having at the moment. There is this initiative actually by Basis Risk, which was trying to see different combinations of the tools and the models, but also who to target. And this is they call it I4, and anyone interested actually can check on the internet some of the different interventions that were done. I4, it is I 4 times, meaning index, insurance, innovative, initiative. So these are the 4 I's. So one can find the different type of experiences there. But I think the question now, and I was involved also in Ethiopia, where we were trying to link index insurance with credit at the micro level, where we brought in private sector insurance and private sector banks. And we really found it very challenging because the enabling environment is very, very difficult, and the subsidy would work to some extent to test certain things. But in the end, I think some of the questions that are coming also from the audience about involving, the targeted population, we did this in this survey, and the first thing is trust. But whether you like it or not, if it is micro, you have to involve them. And that takes a lot of time, even understanding the cropping calendar, at what time is the rainfall most damaging, most important, when does the rain start, even to have your index correctly done at the different growth levels of the plant. You need to involve those specific communities because these differ. Even within, we have found that in Ethiopia, within a small even distance, there are differences. But to come back to your question, I think now mostly what we're finding better, especially with the linkages and whatever, is meso level. The meso level seems promising. One, it is rather easier to handle, and one of the things, for one of the ones which we're actually trying to work with are the cooperatives, which have thousands of farmers, and they usually are the ones, the conduits for input distribution, and the inputs come through them, but sometimes also as a marketing cooperative where they also the produce also come through them. So they have some kind of a very important role, and if we find a better way of really designing these products, the meso level seems more, at this moment in time at least, at this technological and level that we have at the moment, they seem to be better handled. But I think some tests are also coming at pilot level, some promising things, even at the micro. So it's not to completely ignore that. But I think for developing countries, given the challenges in infrastructure, in institutions, and whatever, that seems the target. The macro level, yes, it may work, but usually it is too high a level that it kind of, you are targeting the sovereign country and you know, the ARC, for instance, giving to Malawi now either 7 million, 4 million, it kind of loses a specific meaning, especially when it is we are targeting vulnerable groups. But it works within a bigger framework for the government when it is responding to these. Yes, this is one other source of also support that would come at the macro level. But I think for us working in these areas, there is no any consensus as such, but the discussion now kind of is leading maybe to see some kind of at that meso level.
Okay, thank you very much, Shukri. Marcel, would you comment on other presentations?
No, at the moment everything is fine from my side, or clear at least.
Okay, thank you very much. So we can go on asking some specific question to our presenters, and I would probably start with do we still have Professor Adegoke? We don't know yet. Okay, probably. Okay, I'll start with Shukri, and then we can move on. Actually, yes, okay, I'll start with Shukri. So, what's needed to design subsidies, incentives, and other financial means to encourage the uptake of index-based insurance in order for farmers to properly capture actually the specificity of a given context and promote uptake by farmers?
Yes, I think, yeah, I alluded to it a little bit earlier, because one of the things I think in developing countries, smallholder farmers and poorer farmers, one of the things they don't have is actually the premium, especially if we are thinking of a commercialized provision of index insurance. And for farmers to, at the beginning of it, to pay the premium and to part, no matter what amount, and to buy the insurance is a huge, and not only, you know, the trust and all that you may get or you may not get, as opposed to credit where you have the money, you may pay later. But this one is you pay now, and the insurance may or may not pay you. So even that in itself is not an easy concept to digest to the farmer. So this is where the subsidies and the learning and whatever comes. But also, I think most of the pilots now are trying to kind of use a combination of index insurance with other factors. Like I said earlier, one of the things we have used was to kind of bring in credit, for instance, for inputs. Because one of the things we found out is inputs, whether it's fertilizer and whatever, are one of the larger expenditures or expenses of smallholder farmers. So bringing in the index insurance and bundling it with credit, for instance, and the insurance then will pay, for instance, for that credit of the input. It may then, if rainfall didn't do good, then that is the idea, is it will encourage the farmer to use better. And this is one example, but it is all the other good practices and climate smart innovative things could be lumped together to encourage the use of it. And it takes a bit of knowledge and a bit of awareness and training at different levels.